You are watching the big budget countdown. Another sector that will be looking for relief in tomorrow's budget is the export sector. Now, here's why exports are important for the economy. The export sector accounts for about 19% of the country's GDP, according to the World Bank. Moreover, the Economic Survey has marked out this space as one with a big upside potential in the coming year. Since the rollout of the GST, the export sector has taken a big hit. We are seeing signs of recovery in the last few months. Now, exporters are not happy with the delay in receiving GST refunds and the consequent working capital crunch. Sector-specific exporters have problems of their own. Take metal exports, for instance. Many are saying that the drawback incentives being slashed from 9.6% to 2% has made matters worse. Meanwhile, textile exporters say that export incentives have reduced while imports have gone up, causing textile SMEs to worry. What can the budget do to allay some of these concerns? Representatives of the export sector say they would like the finance minister to provide continued exemption on any inputs required for exports. For MSMEs, a comprehensive drawback scheme which refunds basic customs duty as well as input tax credit and direct tax benefits and exemptions for MSME exporters along the lines of exemptions for startups. Lastly, a scheme for capital subsidy for MSMEs to boost investment in technology. Joining us now to discuss the demands of the export sector, Ajay Sahai, Director General and CEO of the Federation of Indian Export Organizations. Mr. Sahai, thanks very much for joining us. The Chief Economic Advisor has made it very clear that the twin engines of growth for India need to be investments and the export sector. He hopes that the export sector will continue to see a robust revival because the global economy is seeing a revival at this point in time. How confident do you feel about India's exports today?
No, in fact, economic advisors rightly put it as the global trade, which has slowed down during 2012 to 2016, is now moving up. In 2017, we clocked more than 4% growth in global trade. Even in 2018, we are expected to grow by around 4.2%. The good news is that India has always been above the curve. In all those years when the global trade has done well, Indian export has done exceedingly well. So from that perspective, they are pinning their hopes on exports. And I think the focus of this government will be on job creation and providing remunerative return to the farmer. Both these objectives can be served if we can make our exports competitive. So we are looking from budget how to make Indian exports competitive. There are a couple of challenges also which are being faced by the export sector, particularly with regard to the appreciation
the exchange
of rupee,
rate, for instance.
increasing protectionism.
Yes.
Absolutely, exchange rate is a worry for export sector. The real effective exchange rate of rupee has appreciated by around 21% in last 4 years, which is a cause of concern. But I think exporter has to live with the market-driven exchange rate. There's not much which can be expected from the government. But other issues of the exporters, like the high cost of credit, which has been partly given through the interest equalization scheme, but the scheme is only confined to the merchandise manufacturer exporter. There are a lot of service exporters also and the merchant exporters who are supporting the cause of exports, and therefore this scheme needs to be expanded.
Okay. Mr. Sahai, since you spoke about the focus being on agriculture, what we are given to understand is that budget could also make some sort of an announcement as far as an agri-export policy is concerned. What are you hearing, and what is it that you believe the budget should do on that front?
No, in fact, the budget's objective should be to double the farmer income, particularly when the economic survey is talking about decline in farmers' income due to climatic change. And Commerce Minister has already announced about a stable agri policy, and I think some kind of budget support needs to be given for the agri-export policy, particularly with regard to backward and forward linkages in agriculture, on reefer van, on the warehousing and cold storage. Some financial support needs to be given, and on some equipment which are required for agriculture sector, duty reduction through customs may happen.
Okay, very quickly, the top 2 demands that you have of the Finance Minister, and you hope that he will deliver on them in Budget 2018.
My first demand would be on the deductions which we are required for the export marketing. A lot of exporters are incurring huge cost in export marketing, and many countries are providing tax deduction for that, including some of the advanced countries. We want a similar facility for the exporter. And on the indirect tax front, we are looking into some kind of compensation of the embedded taxes, of the taxes which are outside the GST net, like petroleum or the electricity duty, as well as those which are coming because the end product is exempted, and therefore the incidence of input tax has to be borne on the product, which is something which economic survey has also highlighted. There has been proposal which has been made, and we expect that some kind of announcement may come in the budget.
All right, Mr. Sahai, we wish you the very best of luck. Thanks very much for joining us here on the Big Budget Countdown. Time now for us to slip into another break. Up next, what does Dalal Street want from Finance Minister Arun Jaitley? We tell you what the markets want when we return.